Hello students, today we'll be doing the second part of our first chapter, that is intelligence. So today we will be covering intelligence, its meaning, then approaches to study intelligence, where we have psychometric and information processing. So we will be doing the concept of psychometric approach as well as information processing approach. Then there are theories of intelligence under psychometric approach, which we will be covering today. Under there, we have unifactor theory by Alfred Binet, two-factor theory by Charles Spearman, Thurston's theory by Louis Thurston, hierarchical theory by Arthur Jensen, and structure of intellect model by J.P. Guilford. So if I ask you about intelligence, of course, in a layman's words, it is like wit or quick response from a person, a smart person. That's all what we regard as intelligence. But intelligence, it is the key attribute employed to know how individuals are different from each other. Psychological definition is very different from the common definition of intelligence. And of course, intelligence, it varies from one person to another, isn't it? You all will also agree with the fact that no two individuals have the same intelligence. They all vary in somewhat low intelligence or very high intelligent people. And here in this entire world, there is no person who have zero intelligence. So everyone, every individual has little or some amount of intelligence. Now, the common definition which we all are aware of about intelligence is mental alertness, ready wit, quickness to learn and grasp, and ability to understand relationships. So these are all very common definition which is directly related to intelligence. The Oxford Dictionary has given us the definition of intelligence as the power of perceiving, learning, understanding, and knowing. So, in order to remember this definition by Oxford Dictionary, I have made it simple and easier for you people. How? You all just have to remember this. Pluk. P-L-U-K. What is P-L-U-K? That is power of perceiving, learning, understanding, and knowing. Okay, now moving on to psychological definitions. Now here different psychologists has given us different definitions about intelligence. So first of all, we have Alfred Binet. So before saying about Alfred Binet's definition, I would like to tell you a little about Alfred Binet. So who was Alfred Binet? Alfred Binet was the first person who started working on intelligence testing. He was deputed by the French government in 1905 to try and segregate children with different kind of abilities so that different classrooms could be formed based on the performance of children. So what he did was he devised a test which could measure the mental age of the child, the age of the mind, that is. So this was Alfred Binet. He was the first one to devise intelligence testing. So what definition he has given us is he said that, okay, here again, I want to tell you all how to remember his definition. So he has said that intelligence is the ability to judge well, reason well, and understand well, and one similar set of abilities used for solving any or every problem. So in order to remember his definition, you all have to remember about Burj, the word Burj. You all have heard no Burj Khalifa, B-O-R-J. So here Burj is Binet's Binet's concept of understanding, reasoning, and judging. That is B-U-R-J. Okay. Next definition was given by Wessler. Wessler, whose intelligence tests are most widely used, understood intelligence in terms of its functionality, that is, its value for adaptation to environment. He defined it as the global and aggregate capacity of an individual to think rationally, act purposefully, and to deal effectively with his or her environment. So, this is the very common and widely accepted definition of intelligence. And lastly, it is Gardner and Sternberg who says that intelligent individual not only adapts to the environment but also actively modifies or shapes it. So basically everything sums up to the fact that an intelligent person or intelligence is basically the ability to understand well, to judge well, to reason well, to have adaptability to his or her environment. Next, we have certain theories of intelligence where we have two approaches. First is the psychometric approach, where it considers intelligence as an aggregate of abilities. So it expresses the individual's performance in terms of a single index of cognitive abilities. So what does it mean? It means that psychometric approach is basically measuring various psychological variables. Now, a lot of psychologists have given different numbers of variables through which they measure, and uh, different components of intelligence has been measured by different intellectuals, or we can say psychologists. So basically psychometric approach, it considers measuring the variabilities and also focusing on the structure of intelligence. Next approach is the information processing approach, which describes the processes people use in intellectual reasoning and problem solving. Information processing approach, it is basically like that of a computer system which we have done in class 11. So basically there is input, processing and output. So the major focus of this approach is on how an intelligent person acts, that is cognitive functions underlying intelligent behavior. Psychometric approach and information processing approach, these two are different from one another, and the differences I have given in two tables, two columns are here. So this is basically I have taken from the book and I have just made this differences for you all. So you all can take this difference from here. There is nothing much to explain over here because already I have talked about psychometric approach as well as the information processing approach. But even if that after that you all have any queries, or you all have any doubt, you all can ask me. Okay. So here there are certain theories under both the approaches, different theories. So here under psychometric approach we have uni or one factor theory by Alfred Binet, then two factor theory by Charles Spearmans, then primary mental abilities by Louis Thurston's, Arthur Jensen's hierarchical model of intelligence, and then J.P. Guilford, who proposed the structure of intellect model. These are all under psychometric approach. And under information processing approach, we have Howard Gardner, who proposed the theory of multiple intelligences, Robert Sternberg, who proposed the triarchic theory of intelligence, and planning, attention, arousal, and simultaneous successive model of intelligence by J.P. Das, Jack Naglieri, and Kirby. So this all are important for you people from the point of view of exam purpose. Okay. So the first theory that we have is unifactor theory or one factor theory. This was given by Alfred Binet, who was one of the first psychologists who worked on intelligence. So what is unifactor theory? Unifactor theory basically consists of one similar set of abilities which can be used for solving any or every problem in an individual's environment. So that is what Alfred Binet said about intelligence at the very beginning, that whatever be the situation or in any environment, there is only one similar set of abilities which is used or which can be used to solve any or every problem. Next is two-factor theory. Two-factor theory was given by Charles Spearman, another psychologist. According to Charles Spearman, intelligence is the ability to think constructively. So he opposed what Alfred Binet in unifactor theory proposed us. So Spearman in 1927 proposes that intelligence consists of two abilities, that is G and S factor. He has given us two factors, G which is the general factor and S is the specific factor. So general factor works in conjunction with spatial ability. In all intellectual activities, human being along with general ability, there will also be special ability which is to such action. So basically, every one of us has the general ability. General ability like that of talking, writing. This is the general ability of every individual. But with a specific factor or a specific ability, a person may have singing ability. A person might be very good in singing, another person might be good in artistic skills. So the person who have extra factor, that is the special factor, that is the S factor. Next is theory of primary mental abilities by Louis Thurston. So this theory suggests that the human intelligence is constituted by 7 independent primary mental abilities. So basically this 7 and that of the S factor given by Charles Spearman is the basis for aptitude test. So in order to test aptitude of a person, all these factors are being checked and then a person's aptitude is being tested. So here, under the 7 independent primary mental abilities, we have spatial ability, spatial, not spatial, spatial, that is ability to perceive spatial relations. Then there is perceptual ability, numerical ability, verbal comprehension, word fluency, memory, and reasoning. Where spatial ability, it is the ability to perceive spatial relations. Then perceptual ability, ability to grasp visual field. Numerical ability, it is the ability to deal with numbers. Then verbal comprehension, it is the ability to understand meaning of words. Word fluency, it is the ability to think and use words rapidly. Memory, it is the ability to remember. Reasoning, it is the ability to think logically. So these are the 7 independent primary mental abilities according to Louis Thurston, which is regarded under psychometric approach. Next, we have hierarchical model of intelligence, which was given by Arthur Jensen. He has given two levels, level 1 and level 2. Level 1 is the associative learning. Now, what is associative learning? Here in associative learning, one generally has output which is more or less similar to the input. For example, children, when they rote learn or they just mug up things, that is associative learning. And then level 2, it is the cognitive competence or cognitive learning. So here it involves higher order skills as they transform the input to produce an effective output. So in associative learning, what happens is that whatever we input the information, same thing is being output by us. But in cognitive competence, the information which we input, that one we process it and then we relate it to some of the past information which we already have, or with real life situations we try to understand and then we output the result. So the output is different from the input in level 2, and in level 1 the output is similar to that of the input because it involves rote learning mug-up. Next is structure of intellect model. So here, building upon the views of Louis Thurston, Joy Paul Guilford rejected Charles Spearman's view that intelligence could be characterized by a single numerical parameter, general factor or G. So he argued that intelligence consists of numerous intellectual abilities. So he first proposed a model with 120, then 150, and finally 180 independently operating factors in intelligence. So basically, we all are doing psychometric approach right now, where we are focusing on the structure of intelligence. So here we know that all the psychologist has given us some of the other factors in order to understand intelligence, how it works. But rejecting all the other factors, here uh, J.P. Guilford, Joy Paul Guilford, he has given us the structure of intellect model where he classifies intellectual traits among three dimensions. There is operations, contents, and products. So basically, he has given us 180 independent operating factors of intelligence. So he proposed a structure of intellect model under operations. Operation means what the brain or the respondent does with the types of information. So again, under operation, he has given us 6 operations. Then there is content. Content are the broad areas of information to which the human intellect applies the 6 operations. That is the nature of materials or information on which intellectual operations are performed. And last, it is product, which refers to the form in which information is processed by the respondent. Though it seems complicated, but if you understand once, it is very interesting. So basically, people functions with all these operations, contents, and products. Operation, what the brain does. Content, it is the nature of materials or information. And product, it is the form in which information processed by the respondent is being the output or the final product, we can say. Okay. Now let us go through each of the three dimensions one by one, because under it, since we know now that there are 180 cells, so each category has certain factors under it again. So here the first one, it is the operation dimension. Now here, see, you all don't need to complicate the things. If you all don't understand it, try to understand it. Okay. And here, in order to make it easy for you people to understand what is under operation, what is under content, and what is under the product, so I have also given under each category, I have also given what does it mean and why it is under this certain dimensions. So under operation, there are 6 factors. So first, it is cognition. Cognition, you all know what is it? It is the ability to understand, comprehend, discover, and become aware of. So it is the ability to perceive changes in the expressions of an individual. Second, it is memory, the ability to encode information and recall information, which is later divided into memory recording, the ability to encode information. Third, it is memory retention, which is the ability to recall information. Fourth, divergent production, which is the process of generating multiple solutions to a problem. Convergent production. This is the fifth one, the process of reducing a single solution to a problem. Evaluation, the sixth one, the process of judging whether an answer is accurate, whether it is consistent or valid. So basically, how our mind or how our brain works, what does the brain does, that is under operation. So here all the cognitive processes goes under the operation. So you all just have to remember what is there in the cognition. So first, cognition, memory, memory retention, divergent production, convergent production, and evaluation. So these are the six factors under operation dimension. Next, we have the content dimension. So here it is the figural one first. So information that is non-verbal or pictorial is regarded as figural. So whatever the operation the brain has done, there are certain information which is there inside our brain. So this information, how we process it and how the what kind of materials or informations are there in the brain. So this figural information is later divided into auditory and visual. Auditory, it is the information perceived through hearing. Visual, it is the information perceived through seeing. So you all can just remember auditory and visual. Second, it is symbolic. That is information perceived as symbols or signs that have no meaning by themselves. For example, Arabic numerals or the letters of an alphabet. So any alphabet, if you see a Spanish alphabet, of course you will not understand it, but then it will be some kind of symbol to you all. So that is symbolic. Something which you don't understand and it resembles certain kind of signs, and that also is kind of a symbol which is there in the brain. Semantic, information perceived in words or sentences, whether oral, written, or silently in one's mind. So semantic, it carries some of the meaning. So meaningful materials or informations are regarded as semantic. Fourth is the behavioral. So the information perceived as acts of an individual or individuals is regarded as behavior. Many times we gather information by just looking at another person's behavior. How does the person is behaving? That is the behavioral information which we perceive in the brain. So here five factors are there under content. So example is also given over here. Look at it. An artist might excel at processing visual information but be poor at processing words, numbers, and other symbolic content. A researcher who excels at processing symbolic content as words and numbers and semantic meaning might be very poor at processing behavioral data and thus related poorly with people. So what is this example saying is that many people might have been different processors in their brain. So a person who is an artist might excel at processing visual information. So how he is processing the information in a way like that of maybe visual information he is processing. That is why he is an artist, he or she is an artist. But he or she might be poor in processing words, numbers, and other symbolic content. Understanding the example, try to understand if not. And the last one is the product dimension. Under this, the first one is the unit, which represents a single item of information. So unit is something which represents a single item of information. Basically, we have certain units which forms a whole. Like unit of say students, it is a unit of students, then units of teachers, so one as a whole, for example. Then there are certain class, a set of items that share some attributes. So here Class, say for example, you all are the students of class 12. You all are students of class 12, section A. Class 12, section B. Class 12, section C. Now again, there might be another class. You all are class 12 students, class 12 of science stream, class 12 of art stream, class 12 of commerce stream. So here again there are certain classes. Then there is relation, which represents a connection between items or variables, which may be linked as opposites or in associations, sequences or analogies. Fourth one is the system, which is an organization of items or networks with interacting parts. Sixth is the transformation, which is the changes or perspective, which changes the perspectives, conversions, or mutations to knowledge, such as reversing the order of letters in a word. So, if you reverse the letters of a word, for example, TAR, tar, which you if you reverse it, then it becomes RAT, rat. Understanding, that is transformation, that is the way we do. So here basically unit class relation system transformation, what we do is that in order to understand certain information we use all these factors, and we the final product which we have to see is maybe in a certain unit or in a certain class or in certain relation, for example, where we have categorized where we have categories also. So categories basically we again are talking about class and relations. If we have to learn about vegetables, we have to again categorize certain vegetables where we will put potato and mango. You all will be better understanding it by now. Then there is implication. Implication is the predictions, inferences, consequences, or anticipations of knowledge. So basically, whatever we predict or infer, or the consequences or anticipations of knowledge, that is regarded as implication. So since this classification includes 6 into 5 into 6 categories, so basically in the operation dimension we have 6 categories, under content we have 5 categories, and under product we have 6 categories. That is why it is regarded as 6 into 5 into 6 categories. So therefore the model has 180 cells. So each cell is expected to have at least one factor or ability. Some cells may have more than one factor, and each factor is described in terms of all 3 dimensions. Okay, so today we will be doing till here. Next class we will be doing the information processing theories. Okay, thank you, and try to understand this process as a whole.